IVM.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 24 of the Fighting G.O.A.T, where your host and host Somesh, the Superhuman Kamra, is joined by his partner in crime, Arjun, the Mystic Chipalkatti. And today we're going to be speaking on crossovers between WWE and MMA and YouTubers and boxers and what not. Chips.
No. Before we even get to that,
How have you been, Chips?
I've been damn good. I'm just feeling.
You are looking fantastic. You're looking lean. You're wearing a beautiful Everlast t-shirt. And man,
you noticed. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Everlast,
have you started dating again?
maybe not. Let's see. For all purposes, everybody, I'm single. Huh? Please, any female listeners and all this.
He's single. He's single for this particular hour.
But you know who might be single after last week? I sent you an article. Sorry, it was a post where Sean Shelby and your favorite Sugar Sean O'Malley have gotten into a little bit of a tussle. Over fighting in New York and the taxes and so maybe Mr. Kamra, you might have your birthday wish fulfilled before your birthday.
Absolutely. I wish we can get Sugar Sean O'Malley on the show. But having said that, did you also see in the post-fight conference of UFC 265?
What happened?
Dana White also asked Sean Shelby, "What are you doing? I mean, shouldn't Cyril Gane also get a bonus?"
Oh, really? He said that?
Why is everybody picking up on Sean Shelby? Man, he's been an employee with the UFC since 1996, which is way before Dana White even came into the picture. And he's been doing a fantastic job. He, in fact, is the third oldest employee in the UFC.
Wow. Bruce might be one of them for sure. Joe Rogan is another.
Oh, no. So Joe Rogan and these guys came in, I think they came in later. But
Bruce was there before, though. Bruce was there at UFC 1 or 2.
Bruce, I don't know. But any which ways, I don't think we need to pick on, Sean Shelby.
No, we don't. We like Sean. Yeah, he's been doing a stellar job in terms of finding, in terms of the matchmaking and stuff. Yeah. And it's just he and Nick are doing a freaking awesome job. But quickly, Mr. Kamra, let's talk about the weekend. Before we get even into the fighting, a big congratulations to Team India, the Olympics. Say what you want to say. Where there are so many critics around India saying that, oh, we only won one gold medal. Shut the fuck up. You didn't do shit.
Dude, people who have
everybody says that. Just shut up.
Yeah, I mean, come on, a chap who, of course, a gold medal in the Olympics is a medal in the Olympics is like the third best in the world or the second best in the world or the best in the world. I mean, what more can you ask for?
And Neeraj Chopra, he did such a great job. He can, this is what I hate. India is so horribly divided. Look at any other country in the world.
Yeah.
Win, lose or draw is like, I'm not the biggest fan of America, but God, do they have the kind of pride they have for their athletes? And anything that they do, whether it's gully danda playing or winning the Olympics or winning the NBA championship finals, whatever it is, the kind of support they have for their athletes is ridiculous, and nobody from outside can come and say anything about it.
Absolutely, because their country backs them in a way where anybody from outside doesn't make a difference. So congrats, Neeraj Chopra.
Yes, congrats. And Neeraj, don't listen to any of the ass vibes saying this or that or the other.
And honestly, congrats to all the other 6 or 7 medalists that we had. Congratulations also to the shooter who stood fourth. And congratulations on the Indian hockey team, the women's hockey team.
Man,
that also
but
the men's won the bronze. The women stood fourth. So they just missed it by a whisker, But India is just going ahead with sports. And look at the prize money coming in. Dude, look at the prize money.
It is.
12.5 crores, 15 crores is not small. But
I'm hoping, it's just once they come back home, I'm sure they're already back home. They must have all flown out after the ceremony yesterday. I hope that they get the hero's welcome that they deserve. And I hope they get the money and the attention to the sport.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. 15th August is what I've heard. The Prime Minister is meeting the entire contingent that went there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I hope they're having a big ceremony for them. I hope they launch more sports projects. And parents, please send your kids out to play. Ditch the device, ditch the mobile phone, ditch the iPads, and please send them out to play. Let them experience sand, mud, other people. Go play a sport. You never know. Maybe at the end of the day, you are developing the next Olympian in your damn house.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that's what we've been today is the focus of our conversation before we get to all the fights. And just to give you an idea of what's coming after the break is we're going to talk about a big chunk of athletes that have been looking. And it's been a big question, where athletes work so hard all their lives.
Yeah.
Where do they go after that point? After the Olympics is a big deal. You get ready for one Olympics, you've got to wait another 5 for the other, and so on and so forth. And athletes nowadays in their prime are deciding what to do with it. But that's a great subject of conversation that we will do after the break. But quickly, my friend, now that all the congratulations have been put into order, let's congratulate the athletes that fought at UFC 265, starting off with Sahil Gan.
Sahil Gan. According to our host, Mr. Sudhir Sachdev, it's not Cyril Gan. It's
Is Sudhir the Bhavandari Tufan or is he the?
He is. That's what that's what most women call him. But so he calls him Sahil Gan because he's French.
He's French. Sahil Gan, you got to give it to Gan, man. Came in, did what he had to do, and was so calm about it. Congratulations to the new interim champion. Can't wait to see that belt unified.
Absolutely. However, I felt Derek Lewis was slightly underplayed. He was not in his element. Maybe at some level, when you don't have an answer to the opponent, you kind of just freeze and you wait for the fight to end. That's typically what happened. Those leg kicks hurt him. But Cyril Gan obviously got the job done when he had to. Kudos to him. Can't wait to see him take on his former teammate and the current heavyweight champion, Francis Ngannou.
But guys, let's just put this out there. So Mr. Kamra and I again had our bet going on for the picks.
Beep, beep, for... beep, 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 beep. These are all the galis coming out.
No, I'm back in stellar form because I got 5 on 5, man. I hit all my numbers. 100% success rate, baby. It's like, no, I haven't done anything. I've just predicted it. The crystal ball is clean and shiny and working.
To be honest, if anyone wants to start betting, please listen to this podcast and go with Mystic Chipalkatti's predictions because 95% of the time you're going to be hitting the target and I think you're going to be making good money.
So, that's what they will be saying after they lose their money. 95% of the time they'll be hitting my targets also. My legs, arms, are all. Suddenly I'll be sitting in one fracture cast like this with my hands up.
I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. And his commission is 1 Bitcoin for each prediction.
Minimum. Hello. Hey, we are a joint team. Yeah? Come on.
Absolutely.
Ek Bitcoin. But only one Bitcoin each. The rest you can keep.
The rest you can keep. But Chips, how good was Jose Aldo yesterday?
Oh my God. The co-main event of the evening, Jose Aldo took on Pedro Munoz. Who's another tough contender. That bantamweight division is teeming with such amazing talent. You've got the top half with Peter Yan leading the champion, leading that division with Corey Sandhagen and TJ Dillashaw and Aljamain Sterling. I'm so sorry, by mistake. I didn't mean to piss you off so much. Yeah, Peter Yan is not the champion. It's Aljamain Sterling that's the champion.
Mera dil toot gaya.
I know. I forgot. Even I forgot, man. I just thought Peter Yan was the champ.
I wish we all forget because he's going to soon get the belt back. But yeah,
But that's coming up in the next couple of months. We've got a lot of MMA stacked up. But coming back to that division, and Jose Aldo dropped down from featherweight, and I spoke about this so extensively yesterday. So I'm going to keep it a little shorter. But Somesh, man, it was like watching. There are fighters. When you look at his age, he's 35. But I feel like I've been seeing Jose Aldo fight for the last 16 years.
Yeah. And he's not slowing down. I mean, when we were watching Jose Aldo yesterday, I in fact tweeted the fact that it's looking like the fight is in time lapse. He's so quick.
He's still so fast.
He's so quick. And I'm like, dude, his hands move like missile launchers. Pat, like that. And I'm like, dude, what is this guy made of?
It's something else, man. It's something in the Brazilian waters. It's just something.
Absolutely.
All of these guys. And Aldo, when he knows there's no threat of a constant takedown or imminent takedown always, he just lets his arsenal open up.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just something beautiful to watch. And
absolutely.
So, Jose Aldo, we love him. Pedro Munoz, a stud. But, there's no shame in losing to to one of the greatest of all time.
Absolutely.
For 9 years, he held that belt, man. I mean, it was crazy. He was undefeated for so long.
It's no joke to hold on to the featherweight belt for 9 years, 9 long years. In fact, as you rightly mentioned, this division is so stacked that there are some former contenders / champions moving out of the division. Cody Garbrandt is no longer in the bantamweight division. He's moved down to 102. Yeah, he's moved down to 125 pounds. His first fight is in December.
Flyweight?
No,
he's at flyweight. He's gone down to Figueiredo's division now.
He's gone to 125 pounds. Yes.
Yeah, he's flyweight. He's 125. Correct.
Yeah, he's gone
125, 135, 135.
Flyweight. Correct.
135 is bantam and 145 is feather. Correct.
Yeah. So he's moved down to 125 pounds. It just goes to show that, sometimes when you feel you do not belong in this category or the competition is way too high, you just move up or down.
It's good actually, because that 135 division is a shark tank, man.
It's crazy.
It's got
crazy,
too many guys. It's not like we're saying that that Cody Garbrandt is not stellar. He still is stellar, but it's just that he's small for that division. Guys like Sandagan look like they should be fighting in welterweight.
Yes, and they fight in bantamweight.
Aldo used to fight at featherweight.
That's right.
A lot of guys have dropped down, and with guys like from lightweight coming to feather, I think people are just trying to cut more and more.
Absolutely. But speaking of the Brazilian waters, I would like to introduce you to the man who moved from the US to Brazil, Vicente Luque.
Oh, yes.
What did he do to Michael Chiesa? He absolutely throttled him. He got out of a submission. He got out of, in fact, 2 submissions, almost a rear naked and a neck crank.
Correct.
He turned it around to make it into a Das choke and submitted Michael Chiesa in the first round in 3 minutes, 25 seconds.
Dude, he got him. I think, it's a very, very old story. Guys like Verdum, guys like Damian Maia, guys like Jacare Souza, or Frank Mir, nobody really attempts submissions on these guys.
Yeah.
Like it's like they're like, really, you're going to try and do this to me? It's like when Michael Bisping tried to shoot in on Dan Henderson.
Yeah.
Hendo was like, really, you're going to try and shoot in on me? Really? You're going to try and take me down? Seriously? So it's that same thing. And I think Michael Chiesa is such a great grappling artist that these guys, okay, when I'm rolling with Somesh, or when we are on the ground, or when we're trying to defend takedowns, in any form of takedown, any time of control, your neck is open to anaconda chokes, to guillotines, to Das, to anything, to even neck cranks. And most people are very afraid of that fact when you're shooting from any angle, or you're trying to get off the mat in any form of control. But guys like Chiesa and Jacare and Damian and Verdum and all these guys, they don't really worry because they've got that aspect covered. And I think he got caught. I mean, do you agree with me somewhere? I think he just got caught suddenly.
Absolutely, yes. In fact, I feel he did not even expect Vicente Luque to, try a submission. They were absolutely dry. Both the fighters were not even sweating. They didn't even break a sweat.
Exactly.
So I just felt he was just caught in that moment where he didn't expect this. But Luque came in with that sick Das. Chiesa could not turn over. He could not block it, and he just had to submit. It took 3 minutes, 25 seconds of the first round. That's it. In fact, Chiesa in the post-fight interview said, "Listen, I'm sorry, but I'm embarrassed."
He was. The only thing he can say that he was embarrassed, because it's like we said yesterday, it's like the way he got caught was he was just so out of place. He didn't expect it coming at all. And maybe that's a big mistake he made, because Vicente Luque is known for his hands. His calf kicks will cut people into ribbons. And I think it's just nobody expected him to do that.
Very true. Very true.
But the thing is that he beat Woodley that way. I mean, he rocked Woodley and he finished it with a Das. And he's done this in the past to guys. So maybe Chiesa I think it's a function of he never expected. But I would love to see a rematch down the line, because I'm pretty sure Chiesa will not make that mistake ever again.
Well, I think Chiesa is going to come back a much better fighter. It is his first loss in the welterweight category, which means he's going to come back way sharper. He's going to retune his mind. He's going to tell himself anything can happen anytime. So let me just be careful and be ready for all the aspects of the game. That's why it's called MMA and it's not kickboxing or it's not BJJ. It has both the aspects.
And
but those were the...
Speaking of all the aspects, the one quick mention, before we wrap up the week that was in the women's division, man. Tasha Torres came back with a bang, and she faced off against Angela Hill. And we spoke, and I think, it's when you see fighters like Tisha who come back, reinvigorated, you saw her. We normally don't talk about people's fitness and bodies, but you're seeing the strength and conditioning that fighters in their second halves of their careers have started doing, and they look better than they ever were before.
It's crazy, it's just so crazy what the mind and the body can do. In fact, Tisha Torres was on a 4-fight losing streak. Normally, in the women's strawweight division or in any division, if you're on a 4-fight losing streak in the UFC, you don't even survive. You're immediately cut. Someone like a Junior Dos Santos was cut. Alistair Overeem was cut. Fabricio Verdum was let go. So that just goes to show. And honestly, women's strawweight has a deep roster out there. So they don't need these fighters.
Many guys.
After those 4 losses, she came back and she's on a 3-fight winning streak. It just goes to show the mindset of the athlete and what they're made of. Maybe she, of course, see, in the 4-fight losing streak, there was Wiley Zhang, there was Joanna, so she lost. I think there was also Jessica Andrade out there. So
she lost to Andrade, she lost to Wiley and Joanna.
She's even lost to Rose Namajunas before that.
But she's lost. See the kind of competition that she's lost.
Exactly.
That's like the top 4 that you just said. These are the top 4 names.
It's like getting bold to Glenn McGrath and Shoaib Akhtar. You're bound to get bold. It's not that
Shane Warne catching you from that his leg spin, which used to pitch at at point and then turn in.
It used to go to
square leg. It used to bounce at square leg and then come back to the pitch.
It used to actually bounce in Pune and then come to Wankhede.
Like, it was ridiculous, man. Like, you saw that bounce from Brabon and to Wankhede. It's crazy. But, I know that's very dumb, but it's just trying to make an example.
Yeah, but but Tisha Torres, I think, is a rejuvenated athlete. She comes from a team called American Top Team. Her spouse, Raquel Pennington, is another UFC contracted fighter who's kind of pushing her through it. So I think this combination is just working so beautifully. Angela Hill, feeling too bad for her. She was cut from the UFC. She came back.
Great skills, but I don't know.
She exactly. She didn't have the correct mindset out there. We spoke about mindset on a previous episode. Yeah. If you haven't heard it, please go hear it only on ivmpodcast.com.
That being said, my friend, we are at the end of the week that was. And again, before we head out into segment 2 and go into a commercial break, I'd just like to congratulate all the winners of Team India at the Olympics. Thank you so much. Jai Hind, and
Jai Hind,
for making us all such a proud nation. And number 2 is, guys, if we do not support our players and our boys and girls overseas doing whatever that they do, we are failing collectively.
Yes.
We are failing collectively. We only want support, and that's all. And I'm sorry, I feel emotional talking about this, but it's an important thing to be said, and we have a platform to do it, so we're going to do it. So please support everybody. Support your troops, support our players, support our sportsmen, and support us more than anything.
Support this podcast.
Support this podcast. Because this is Team Chips and Team Kamra coming to you live from IBM Podcast Studios. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, it's been another great week on the IBM Podcast Network. On a show about crypto, Rohan Joshi is joined by Ashish Singhal of CoinSwitch Kuber as they break down the blockchain. Marathi Kirkiton, our latest show, is all about Marathi culture, tradition, literature, cuisine, and more. To make your rainy day better, hear from Manik and Dr. Rajiv Deshmukh sharing their beautiful moments in this first episode. On Cyrus Says, Lakshmi joins us to talk about Splainer.in and the Press Decode podcast. On Press Decode, a discussion over sports and mental health, keeping in mind everything that's been going on recently. On Khailniti, check out the preview of the first test match. And on Shunya One, find out why Intuit India is amongst the best places to work. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any other show for that matter, please do tell a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to spread the word about a podcast you love. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week: Seat, Cred, Global Victoria, Bank of Baroda, Intuit India, and CoinSwitch Kuber.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 24 of The Fighting G.O.A.T, where, of course, aapke khud ke host and dost, Mystic Chips or Somesh Superhuman Kamra la rahe hai one of the best podcasts in the country, or probably the only podcast in the country, no?
I think the only we're at least the only fight podcast on IBM Podcast.
I think we're the only fight podcast in India. I mean, yeah, see, YouTube is a free channel. You can post whatever you want, but there's no good content / better content than what you will get right here on IBM.
/ fun and sex appeal also.
us, matlab, once we are in the studio, then sex appeal dikhega.
So bus, you wait now. Man,
flexing those biceps and all that, looking fantastic.
But my friend, she just told me, Anu, she just told me that I look like somebody from Tere Naam. This hair. I'm like, you ass.
Huge shout out to Anu, who I believe is in Hong Kong and still tuning in to the Fighting Goat. So kudos to her. I think she's going to be getting a Fighting Goat fridge magnet courier.
She will, definitely.
To her house.
She will. So, Anu needs fridge magnets and bottle openers also because I know very, very well. But speaking of, Somesh, speaking of people, another friend of mine who listens to our show quite a bit, his name is Arjun Siva. I'm mentioning him particularly because like crossover athletes that we were going to talk about, he is a crossover fan. When I met him in 2010, and I had been watching MMA for a while before.
Right.
He got into the sport because of Brock Lesnar. He was a big Brock Lesnar fan in the WWE. And the minute Brock decided that he was coming to the UFC, when he fought Min Soo King in Japan, and then he got his contract to come in and take on Frank Mir.
Right.
And that's brought in 1 million fans to come in.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. In fact, these crossover athletes, people who move from boxing to MMA to WWE, AWE to MMA, I think it's just healthy in a way where fans are kind of loyal to that particular fighter / athlete. So they move where he or she goes. Like, for example, when Ronda Rousey moved from the UFC to WWE, she took a whole bunch of fans with her that started tuning into actually watching her in WWE. I think it is so positive. But at the same time, do you think at some level it's also shifting loyalty to the pureness of the sport, where people are looking more towards the money rather than the purity of the art?
See, that's a very difficult statement because a lot of new athletes that have been coming into the sport, a lot of guys now. The world makes fun of the Paul brothers, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, whatever. But on the same hand, they have made more money.
Paul Bearer.
Not Paul Bearer. All brothers. But I like the WWE twist. And WF twist. That was
WF. The F was there. The federation was there because the entertainment aspect was not yet included.
Was not yet there. That's when mankind kept falling from top of the cage and stuff. Those were the days on thumbtacks and.
But you know what? Those are the days where Undertaker used to use half-cut MMA gloves to punch.
That's true. Actually, he just. I think that those days they used to actually beat people up also.
Yeah.
They really did. But no, coming back to what we were saying, is we started seeing. So the Jake Paul brothers, when they came in, you can say what you want about them.
Logan Paul, Jake Paul. Yeah.
They you can say what you want. They were Disney stars and YouTube stars and and. In the span, I think they've spent maybe a year and a half in boxing, maybe 2 years training.
Right.
But somebody like Logan Paul and Jake Paul has made a lot of money, has made more money than guys in MMA who have given 10 years to the sport.
Right.
In one of the biggest organizations, which led a lot of new fans, new boxers and new wrestlers and new, guys who are training in mixed martial arts to start thinking, what am I doing this for? Because even Floyd Mayweather says this, till the halfway point of his career, he was fighting for legacy, sport. Correct. Legacy. And he's like, legacy doesn't pay the bills. Legacy doesn't put food on the table. Legacy doesn't take care of my children. So do you start going to the money? And is it right there's no right or wrong answer here because we're just having a debate here and I'm an open discussion. And guys, fans who are listening to us and who are following us on social media, come and talk to us about this because we want your opinion too. Because there's no right or wrong answer here. It's just an opinion that we're giving out. So Somesh, what do you think, man? When guys, if tomorrow as an athlete, for example, there was a picture of a wrestler, a 125 kg gold medalist winner in the Olympics, who had put out a tweet saying that he had a picture with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
And he put out a picture, and this is what even Siva was telling me about, saying that, a guy like this said, MMA, he just wrote on Twitter, MMA or WWE.
Ooh.
And who knows where he'll go.
And the internet exploded.
Because people are like, oh, you're an Olympic wrestler, but I mean, guys like DC went into MMA after being in the Olympics.
Right.
But would you blame a 22-year-old kid or a 25-year-old kid a 23-year-old kid who wants to go and just make the money? I personally wouldn't anymore.
Correct.
You have the right to do what you want.
Correct. So, in fact, that's a very, very good topic. If you ask me, I would still focus on the purity of the sport. And I would like the sportsman to be loyal to his or her sport. Having said that, most of the biggest organizations are privately held, like the UFC, Bellator, or, any of these organizations, they're privately held. So your
Thriller Productions, the guy, Thriller guys who,
exactly,
do the Jake Paul fights and stuff.
So your pay is pre-decided. You cannot negotiate that or anything of that sort. You see, when you're an Olympian, you can still get sponsorship. You can,
True.
Government support you. There are some private organizations that come and say, listen, you've done a great job. I'm giving you $1 million for this performance. Like what happened to Neeraj Chopra. Governments are pouring in $1 million for him because of the performance. Now, what happens when you're contracted with a private organization? Yes, you can take private favors, but you need to be on contract for that paycheck, which is $10, $20, $30, $40,000, whatever it is. But, there's always that lingering thought that, if I just go and box, someone like an Anderson Silva would say, listen, I just want to go and box. I'll make $10 million. Something what I've made throughout my entire UFC career, I could make it in one night.
Because the sad statistic popped up between when they were doing the tail of the tape between Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, who are slated to fight next month or this month actually.
Yeah,
sometime this month. And there was a lot of hoopla from the internet, and there was a lot of trash talk that was going back and forth as well. And I'm just like, okay, this is going to happen. And they did the tail of the tape, and they just showed Tyron Woodley is a 5-time welterweight champion. He is
correct.
NCAA wrestler. He is this, he's that, he's this, he's that.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they showed career net worth. I'm not going to say the numbers because they will be disrespectful.
Yeah.
Career net worth of Tyron Woodley versus career net worth of Jake Paul. And look at the age of Jake Paul and look at the age of Tyron Woodley. And you're like, I now don't blame a lot of the new athletes going into entertainment sports, into the entertainment sport angle. Because if you look at the entirety of boxing or even the MMA, only the cream of the crop make that kind of money.
Yes.
It's only the Connors and the Sean O'Malley's and the.
Thank you so much for coming close and emphasizing on that name.
No, but
Sean O'Malley.
But no, because then here's the proof is in the pudding now. No, you see Woodley. You saw Woodley. He was a 5-time champion, man. He was a welterweight champion.
Yeah.
And then you see his career finishes and then you got guys like John Jones who are like, I'm not going to fight unless it's for a big paycheck.
Yeah.
Because who are understanding now how things are working.
Correct.
And do you blame, and I don't blame an athlete for wanting to take the other road. I really don't. Like you just said, somebody like XYZ tomorrow wakes up, who's got 2 years of boxing training, starts running his mouth, saying, screw you this one and screw you that one.
Yeah.
And starts calling out the old guys. I think it's kind of, people might laugh at you initially.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't think the Paul brothers give a shit. They're going to walk away rich.
Absolutely. But see, that in fact gets me to a little bit of an offshoot conversation where don't these things happen in general life? Like, for example, if I take an example, so let me talk about CM Punk. CM Punk, mega star in WWE, could fly here and there, roped in the box. But when he came into professional sports, we saw how he fared. He was an absolute flop show.
Correct.
In fact, Dana White is pushing for him to get out of his contract and go back to WWE or NCW.
He's still training?
I think he is. I think he's still on the roster. So USADA still tests him and stuff like that. So I don't know where that is. But at the same time, don't you think that that's the crux of every matter? Even for someone who's going to office on a daily schedule, if there's somebody who's going to office, he's also fighting for his place. He wants to be a better social marketing guy. He wants to climb up the ladder, but not everybody get there. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, yes, they're not professional athletes. They're entertainers, but they've done what they do well, and that's entertaining. Conor McGregor is also an entertainer come a great MMA fighter. So he's doing his stuff well, but everybody doesn't get there. So I'm beginning to believe you need good at what you're great at, and eventually start exploring other options. Because, if you try and be an entertainer, you may not be the best entertainer. You just may be a very good athlete, I don't think George St. Pierre can ever be entertaining because he's just a good fighter.
No, he's just GSP being an insane fighter is one thing, but when you have Olympic wrestlers today who are winning medals, and who are already who already have serious credentials, being an Olympic champion is a serious credential.
Absolutely.
And then for them to say, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do the serious stuff anymore. I want to get into fake wrestling and make the big bucks, where they learn how to, get that charisma and that performance.
Right.
Where, and they learn how they'll get trained to do the right things. And no, of course, nobody's going to be, a Stone Cold Steve Austin or a Rock overnight.
Right.
They'll actually never be, because those are once in a lifetime athletes.
Absolutely.
And entertainers. But it's just that the door has been opened by a few people to be, and athletes have begun to realize that, you know what, I'm 24, 25 years old. I put in my hard work. It's like what Ronda Rousey did. Ronda Rousey was an Olympian as well.
Yes.
She was a judoka, and she was a hell of a judoka, and she got some insane success in the UFC.
Yeah.
But the minute she realized that the competition, she was not at the same level as the new breed, she's saying, okay, screw this, I'm out of here.
Correct.
I'm going to go to the WWE, I'm going to make some money.
But they need to start somewhere where their heart is, somewhere where their skills are.
So you're saying is basically they need to, at least, to pull this off, you at least have to have skills.
Absolutely.
You've got to have the skills.
You need to be good at something to get somewhere,
Okay.
So, what I'm trying to say, yes, you can be a great entertainer, but if your heart is in boxing and you're doing stuff well there, do that, get a good manager, let them guide you, get some sponsorships, and eventually the money will come. You don't need to run behind that.
And in fact, it's not even the new athletes. We're seeing the older athletes. Like Woodley is now, when Floyd Mayweather took on Logan Paul 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Jake Paul's older brother. And he beat him, obviously. It was an exhibition match and blah, blah. But the minute Jake Paul and Woodley was announced, Mayweather walked up to Tyron Woodley and said, you're going to come train with me right away.
Yeah.
Because you're going to school this kid. And you're going to show them how it's done. So I think there's a attraction value for a lot of ex-athletes and ex-champions in this sport. I mean, the thing is also, these boys are very smart. They're calling out not really strikers, I mean, I would love for Jake Paul to start calling out a Robbie Lawler. That'd be fun.
Well, isn't Anderson Silva also fighting one of these guys sometime soon?
Anderson's going to fight Logan Paul.
Oh, yes.
I say that with a heavy heart, but no, man, go Silva, go, man, make the money. I don't give a shit.
Oh, man.
Make the money. I don't even think, Silva is dirty, he's filthy rich. He's got some gyms, he lives in California, he's got massive mansions, and he knows how to keep his money because he lives a simple life as a simple man.
Right.
And he doesn't need the money, but I think he's just doing it for fun now. I think it's his turn to school everybody. I wish I could be front row and hearing Snoop Dogg talk about that
fight. Well, Snoop Dogg, the good part is Snoop Dogg thanks himself at the end of every event that, I thank myself that the event was so good. So
I love Snoop, man. That takes that's another level of confidence.
Absolutely.
I thank myself for being here. I thank myself. You thank me for making your life better, which he does. Remember the first fights which were commentated with Izzy and Snoop Dogg. All I could hear them was just laughing in the background.
Yeah.
And I think Michael Scavello was part of that, the only serious commentator there.
Yeah.
And he was the only one commentating with Izzy and Snoop just laughing in the background.
Oh,
that's
man,
all they were doing.
But we've spoken so much about the athletes and the fighters who do actually these crossover segments, but there's also the commentators like Israel Adesanya, the 185-pound champion in the UFC, is coming to do commentary with Snoop Dogg in Saudi Arabia. So there's also a crossover happening outside the octagon or outside the ring, which itself is so positive because everybody knows Izzy as the UFC champ. At some level, they also carry the brand name outside the organization in a positive manner. So I think it's a very healthy equation which is happening at the moment. I think it should continue provided all the organizations are, working in tandem. I also feel maybe the next 5-10 years, there could be crossover fights like one FC champion versus UFC champions versus
that
Bellator champions
already open
versus PFL champions. Could there be some kind of a World Cup that is in the making out here?
Like a Pride style one-day tournament.
Absolutely.
But guys have to fight three times and make their way up. But I don't know how many fighters will still say yes to that now.
Well, may not be that, but it just could be the middleweight champion of the UFC versus the middleweight champion of ONE FC.
You could definitely do that. Or even, let's not even make it champions, just to cross-promotion fights. I would love to have seen, can you imagine when Kung Lee came to the UFC? Waiting from Strikeforce, and when Kung came to the UFC, damn, it was fun.
It was crazy.
It was so much fun. That middleweight division during that time was so much fun. Guys like Brian Stan, Wanderlei Silva,
Rich Franklin was there.
Rich Franklin, Silva, of course, Anderson was sitting on the top doing nothing.
Yeah.
He's like, maine sabko mari diya hai. It was getting a lot of fun when WEC merged with the UFC and Strikeforce came in and everybody just jumped in. It was a really exciting time because the matchups had opened up. And like Somesh you just said right now, I would love to see Stipe go over to ONE FC and fight. And I think there is maybe you don't have to go sign a full-time contract. Maybe do a one contract. Maybe if you win the belt there, then it becomes a little more complicated.
Correct.
Something happens there, but maybe that's one of the reasons why that may not be allowed. Maybe just a super fight, no belts on the line. Right. Just a super fight. Like the ONE FC champion versus the UFC champion. That's it.
Right. That is, see, these are such beautiful conversations, but we would love to hear what the listeners are thinking right now. So please write to us, tag us, hashtag us, and let's get into a conversation as to what you think about our beautiful sport.
Absolutely. So guys, do not forget to miss out. These conversations are never ending, like Somesh said, and we have a lot more coming up. So stay tuned. We'll be right back to the Fighting GOAT with me, Mystic Chips, and my partner, Superhuman Somesh Kamra. Don't go anywhere. Be right back after these messages.
Season 3 of Echoes of India, your favorite history podcast, is back on the IVM Podcast Network. I'm your host, Anirudh Kanasetti. Join me on a journey through the wonders of early India as we explore the centuries between Buddha and Ashoka with critical research, empathy, and great storytelling. Along the way, you'll hear from all the vibrant peoples who shaped our world, from monks and farmers to warriors and emperors. New episodes are out every Monday.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Fighting GOAT, where your host and host Somesh Superhuman Kamra and Arjun, aka Mystic Chips, aka the ladies' man, is here with us.
All of 4 seconds. But audio was there for 11 seconds. Sorry, I'm going to repeat this till the next Tufan comes out.
So we've had a great conversation about the crossovers between WWE and the UFC and ONE FC and AEW and all of that. We think it's a very positive move. Boxing to MMA, MMA to WWE. I think it's great as long as the fighters do justice to the sport. They can also be entertainers. They can also be YouTubers. They can be professional athletes. Whatever it is, just stick to your art. Do well, as our national contingent has done with 7 medals. So congratulations to them once again.
India.
And we are going to be speaking on the coming event where...
Oh, itna buri tarah se haare last time. You really want to do this again?
Kelvin Gastelum takes on Jared Cannonier in the 185-pound division.
Oh, funnily, that's in 2 weeks, right? We still got time. We've got time.
So we've got time. But that's
so you're allowed to change your picks next week, huh? You're allowed to change it. I'm giving you leeway. Chalo.
well, that's what happens to people who are losing. So
I'm giving you the opportunity. How can you say I'm losing?
No. That happens to people who are losing.
Okay. By the way, guys, if you're not seeing the video, no, Somesh is pointing at himself. Huh?
Yeah.
No, but Gas versus Cannonier is going to be a great fight.
Yeah, so surprisingly, we have 1 week off. There is no fight this coming weekend.
But we are there. We are there. We might.
We are there.
We're there.
We're going to fight.
We're in your faces, we're in your ears. You've got to be listening to us all the time. All our lame jokes and our Vishesh Tipnis about everything that is fighting. But we might have a very surprise guest coming to you next week. He might be an international guest, a national guest. I don't know. You just got to tune in and find out.
Well, we do have a guest, as Mystic Chip said. We don't know who the guest is because Mystic Chips has said it. Only Mystic Chip knows. So that's going to take us to the next event, which is on the 22nd of August between Jared Cannonier and Kelvin Gastelum in the middleweight division. However, the card is not set, but we know Clay Guida is on the card. We know Alexander Pantoja is on the card. We know Chase Sherman is on the card. So
who?
Chase Sherman.
Chase Sherman.
Yeah, in the heavyweight category. So
how old is Clay Guida, man? No?
Clay Guida.
We saw him since The Ultimate Fighter 2.
Well, I think Clay Guida was fighting when the Romans fought the Italians.
He does look. He does look like that.
Yeah, like in 1636, when that
when the Greek invaded, and I just don't know when, man. I think the movie Troy, he was part of it, like the original painting. Like, before Brad Pitt and Eric Bana made the movie, he was in the...
Yeah, so he was there. I
think I saw him in Drona also.
Man, what a guy. What a guy.
Dude, we love you, Clay Guida. We're just making fun of you. But though I would love to have seen him in all those movies, I think he would have made such a good, can you imagine him in Lord of the Rings?
Oh, man.
He would have looked cool. He's got that grumpy look.
He would have stolen the show.
He would have, man.
He would have stolen the show, But what about Jared Cannonier, Kelvin Gastelum? 5-round fight. And between these two beasts, what do you think?
You know what? I have to back Kelvin Gastelum. He's been there in the championship rounds. He's been there with guys like Robert Whittaker, with Israel Adesanya. He's been with stellar competition and has shown his mettle. He's shown his mettle. He was fighting at welterweight before. He moved up. And that power has increased coming with him. Jared Cannonier has Jared been in a 5-round fight? No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, I think we'll have to check and we'll get back to you if we're wrong. If we're wrong, please correct us. But I'm siding with Gastelum.
Wow. Okay, cool. So in this particular situation, yes, I think Kelvin Gastelum is also going to be my pick because of a lot of reasons. I think he has a championship caliber. He has the mindset. Jared Cannonier has not been in 5-round fights. This is going to be a smaller octagon. It's at the apex. So it's a 25-foot octagon, which means the takedowns are always going to be there. So definitely, according to me, Kelvin Gastelum has the edge to take out Jared Cannonier. But that being said, where does this take Kelvin Gastelum? Is he still having those championship thoughts?
You know what? The thing is, it's the carrot and the stick. It's if you don't have that carrot of the belt dangling in front of you. We asked the same. Somebody asked us the same thing. One of our fans asked us about on the Sony show, asked us saying that, what do you think about Jose Aldo? After all these years, where does the belt stay important to him still? Right. I think it always does somewhere. You always want to be champ. You always want to be champ. But you also have to have realistic expectations because how many title shots can you keep getting?
Correct.
How many title eliminators will you go through?
Correct.
And now, especially with Israel Adesanya, who's going to be taking on Whittaker now, Robert Whittaker, we don't know how that entire scene opens up. We don't know what Israel will do after this because I don't see any challenges remaining.
But, having said that, Kelvin Gastelum is the only one who really got the heat to Israel Adesanya and who proved to be the most difficult fight of his career. The only guy who actually tagged him and hurt him. So we never know.
Yes, and had him backing up. We saw him wobbled. We saw Izzy wobbled, but man, Israel being the champ that he is, recovered and brought the fight to Kelvin. Another 30 seconds in that round 5, and we would have seen a stoppage.
It was over.
It was incredible. But here's hoping that middleweight division, there's a log jam there, and guys like Rockhold are coming back against Strickland. So Strickland's on a tear himself, but I think Luke Rockhold has a unique style. He's got that kicking style, and on the ground, Rockhold is dangerous.
Very,
very, very dangerous. What he did to Chris Weidman, God. I swear to God, it felt like Weidman owed Herb Dean money that day.
Yeah. Roko.
I was just like, okay, you know what? Everybody said that. And remember when we spoke to Herb Dean about it as well?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you're entitled to your own stupid opinion. I don't blame him, man. He gets asked these questions every day. Why would he answer us?
But having said that, we may have a referee coming on in the following week. So I'm very excited about that.
No, leave it up. Leave something up. Let the mystery be there. Let them discover.
Yes. Oh, yes. You know what? That's why I'm not called Mystic. That's why you're called Mystic. I just can't keep things in my stomach, and you're such a pro at that. So I love that. But having said that, both of us have gone in for Kelvin Gastelum. But we do have a next episode coming in next week, even though there's no fight. We have a lot of exciting conversations, good people, good guests.
Exactly.
And a lot more.
And my friend, you know what, guys, we keep saying this over and over again. We've got people writing into us and, criticizing our opinions. Love it. We love that. Say it. Keep doing more of that.
Yes.
Come join us in the conversation. This is an open forum. You can come talk to us. You can catch me, Arjun. And now, by the way, I've changed my IDs so they become a lot easier to pronounce.
Right. It's called Sexy Man, basically.
No. If you want to reach me on Instagram, it's Arjun @ArjunChips. And on Twitter is @TheMysticChip.
That is superb. You can catch me on Instagram, Somesh.Kamra. And on Twitter, it's Somesh_Kamra. My handles stay unchanged. Please follow both of us. Follow IVM Podcast for some exciting content, guys.
Exciting content, exciting gifts, exciting offers, and much, much more. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to tune in every week to The Fighting G.O.A.T, only on IVMPodcast.com. And if you like such content, tune into IVMPodcast.com for much, much more. Stay tuned. This is me, Arjun, aka Mystic Chips, and my buddy Superhuman Kamra saying ciao, sayonara, and jai hind.
Come learn and experience the ABCDs of being queer with me, Shinetro,
and me, Farhad,
on our show, Gay BCD.
The two of us take you through our stories and experiences of being gay men in the city of Mumbai and have candid
and sometimes downright scandalous
conversations about sexuality, gay culture, and everything in between.
Catch new episodes of Gay BCD every Tuesday on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get all your podcasts from.
Do you like true crime stories?
Do you like to learn about the people behind some horrible, awful crimes?
More specifically, women that may have committed these crimes.
Actually, Indian criminals that are women?
Then we'd like to welcome you to our podcast, Misconduct. My name is Raghavi.
And I am Nisha.
We cover themes like murder, dacoity, drug trafficking, financial fraud, kidnapping, and many more.
You can catch us every Wednesday on the IVM Podcast Network or wherever you get your podcast.